Hey everyone, welcome to Orange Capital, the place where we break down money-making ideas, smart entrepreneurship, business growth, wealth multiplying strategies, self-improvement, and so much more. We're all about giving you the real tools and mindset to level up your life and your bank account. If you're excited to take control of your future, don't forget to hit that like button. Okay, let's unpack this. There's something out there, a force, maybe a principle, that's apparently so profound, so powerful, that Albert Einstein himself supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world.
Right, that quote floats around a lot.
And honestly, after digging into the material you shared, I'm starting to think, yeah, it might as well be. Because once you really get how it works, really let it sink in, it feels almost, I don't know, unfairly powerful.
It has that quality.
Yeah, and this is the baffling part. Almost everyone just overlooks it. It's not hidden knowledge, it's not some ancient secret. It's just fundamental math, really.
But math that works in counterintuitive ways.
Exactly. And when I finally truly grasped the implications myself, it felt like stumbling onto a kind of financial superpower, one that's been right here, right in front of us all along, just quietly shaping futures.
Silently working.
So tonight, we're going to peel back the layers on this really unbelievable truth about money. We'll pull out the key ideas from the sources you sent and reveal its shocking, sometimes really counterintuitive implications for your financial future.
It is fascinating, isn't it? How something so impactful, so mathematically elegant, really, can be so consistently underestimated, even by people who think they're financially savvy.
Right.
It's not just some dry concept for economists or Wall Street types. It's more like a universal law of growth, almost like physics, but way less understood when it comes to building personal wealth.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And the implications, once you really internalize them, they are genuinely mind-bending. They challenge our basic human intuition about how things should progress, that straight line thinking.
Totally. It's this invisible force, right? Like a silent engine just humming away in the background of anything that grows, anything that gathers momentum. And its power feels almost like magic because it's so quiet, so relentless, often completely unseen until it's suddenly massive.
Yeah, the results sneak up on you.
So tonight, drawing on all those great articles and notes you pulled together, we're diving deep into this quote-unquote eighth wonder. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see your daily choices, your long-term plans, maybe even how you think about time itself in a totally new light.
Reframes things.
It really does. This isn't just theory. This is about how your money, the resources you have, can actually work for you in ways you might not have even dared to imagine before. It's about tapping into a force that can literally, over time, turn pennies into fortunes, I think. The invisible force. Discovering the eighth wonder. Okay, so let's start by really getting a handle on this invisible force. We are, of course, talking about compounding, but look, based on the depth of the stuff you sent over, we're not just going to give some dry textbook definition here.
Good, because that puts people to sleep.
Right. Instead, let's think about compounding not as some, abstract financial term, but more like a fundamental law of growth, something you actually see happening all around you, in nature, in personal growth. Really, in anything that builds on itself.
Absolutely. The shock isn't what it is, necessarily.
Okay.
It's how it works against our usual way of thinking, our human biases.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, the natural world gives us some amazing analogies for this, doesn't it?
It really does. One of the sources you shared had this great example, the bamboo tree. It's quite remarkable.
Oh, the bamboo, right. Tell us about that.
Well, imagine you plant a single bamboo seed. You water it, you take care of the soil, you wait. And for the first few years, sometimes up to 5 years, it looks like absolutely nothing is happening above ground.
Nothing at all. That must be frustrating.
Hugely frustrating. You'd feel like it's completely wasted effort. No visible progress, no growth. You'd think you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I'd probably give up.
A lot of people would. But here's the amazing part. During those years where nothing seems to be happening, the bamboo isn't just sitting there, it's working. Quietly, relentlessly. It's building this incredibly complex, really robust root system underground.
Ah, so the work is invisible.
Completely invisible, but absolutely critical. It's laying the foundation. Then, almost like magic, after all those years of unseen effort, in one single growth spurt, maybe 1 year, it just shoots up.
Shoots up how fast?
I mean, shoots up. It can grow dozens of feet, almost overnight. Sometimes so fast you could practically watch it stretch towards the sky.
Wow.
And that is compounding in nature, a long period of invisible foundational work. Gains are small, they're hidden. Then, boom, an explosive, seemingly overnight acceleration where those small gains suddenly multiply into something enormous.
And that's not just plants, right? This connects directly to us, to our daily lives.
Oh, absolutely, in ways we often don't even track. Think about habits. One of the behavioral pieces you sent really nailed this.
Like going to the gym or not going.
Exactly. You skip the gym once. Big deal, right? One missed workout. Seems like nothing. The immediate effect, negligible.
Yeah, it doesn't matter much today.
But if you start skipping it every day,
Yeah.
consistently, what are you actually doing then? You're not just missing one workout repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
You're compounding weakness. You're building a habit of inaction.
Okay, I see.
And the cumulative results, over time, they become significant. You see a real erosion of fitness. But flip that around. Think about small, positive actions.
Like reading a few pages every night.
Perfect example. Or learning just one new word in a foreign language each day.
Yeah.
Or practicing guitar for just 10 minutes. In the moment, it feels tiny, almost pointless maybe. The immediate gain is, you can't see it.
Right.
But over weeks, months, years, those tiny, almost invisible gains, they stack up, they build on each other. They create this foundation for exponential learning.
And then suddenly
You realize you've read, like, a whole library's worth of books. Or you're surprisingly okay at speaking that language. Or you've actually mastered that tricky skill. The total effect is staggering. It often feels like it just happened overnight.
Yeah, it really does. And that's the deceptive part, isn't it? The slow start.
Totally. That initial lack of visible progress makes us think nothing's happening. We get impatient, we give up.
Right before the big jump happens.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just before that exponential phase kicks in. It's why sticking with it, even when it feels slow, is so crucial.
Okay, so this stacking effect. What's the actual mechanism? How do these tiny gains become something so life-changing? Something that defies our, normal expectations?
Well, at its core, compound interest, looking at the financial angle from your primers, isn't just earning interest on your initial money, your principal. That's simple interest.
Right.
The magic is that those tiny gains, the interest you earn, they then start earning their own returns. It's interest on the interest.
Oh, okay. Interest on interest.
Financial folks call it recursive growth. Think of a snowball rolling down a hill. Starts small, right? Picks up just a little snow.
Uh-huh.
But as it gets bigger, its surface area increases. So it starts picking up more snow faster and faster. It grows exponentially.
Because the new snow helps grab even more snow.
Precisely. Each new layer becomes part of the snowball, boosting its ability to gather even more. And that's the fundamental idea that makes compounding so potent. It transforms these seemingly small, consistent efforts into, well, potentially life-altering sums.
So it's the engine turning small actions into big outcomes.
Yeah.
Because the outcomes themselves become the new starting point.
Exactly right. It creates this self-reinforcing loop. The magic is that the gains themselves start working for you. They become part of your capital base.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. And honestly, maybe a little unsettling for our normal line-by-line way of thinking. Because it's not just adding up.
Oh, it's way beyond simple addition.
It's about how those additions multiply themselves. How they become like a new principle, a new base for more growth.
That's the leap from additive to multiplicative.
It's the huge difference between linear growth and exponential growth. And when you actually see the numbers, when you translate this from an idea into, real dollars and cents, it really is mind-bending.
It forces you to reevaluate things.
Yeah, it makes you question habits and assumptions you didn't even realize you had. 2, the mind-bending math. From daily coffee to a fortune. Okay, let's make this super concrete. Let's talk about something incredibly relatable, something that lots of us do every single day without even thinking about it.
Right.
I want you to really think about that daily habit, your $5 coffee. Or, maybe it's a soda, a snack, whatever small, consistent daily spend you barely even notice.
The autopilot expenses.
Exactly. Because what I'm about to lay out, pulling from some of those really powerful examples in the documents you sent, well, it might just make you gasp. It certainly made me pause.
Okay, I'm ready.
It forced me to totally rethink what that seemingly harmless $5 latte actually costs. Not today's cost, but what it costs your future self. Its potential.
Right, the opportunity cost.
Yeah.
But not just the $5 itself, but what that $5 could become.
Precisely. So let's visualize this. Let's take that hypothetical scenario from the financial planning guide you included. What if, instead of spending that $5 every single day on the latte, you invested it?
Okay.
And let's say you earned a pretty conservative 8% annual return, which, is roughly the historical average for the stock market over long stretches. We're not talking about some crazy risky bet here.
Sensible assumption for a long-term view.
The numbers that come out are, well, they're genuinely shocking because they just defy our intuition about small amounts. After just 5 years of investing that daily fiver, it adds up to about $10,000.
Okay, 10 grand in 5 years from coffee money. That's already interesting.
It is. Now, give it a bit more time. Let that compounding really start to work its magic. In 10 years, you're looking at around $30,000.
30,000, wow, okay.
And here's where it gets, as you said, truly mind-bending, where the exponential curve really starts to pull away from the straight line of your daily $5 contribution. Stretch it out to 20 years. Now you're looking at over $100,000.
100 grand from skipping a daily coffee for 2 decades.
Yeah. And now, the big one. Keep doing that for 40 years, maybe from your first job in your 20s until you're thinking about retirement. That seemingly insignificant $5 a day, it transforms into a staggering $365,000.
$365,000.
From what most people just brush off as it's just coffee money.
That really puts it in perspective.
So what does this actually mean for you, listening right now, for the choices you make every day? It means that latte that seems so harmless isn't just $5.
Oh, it represents something much bigger.
It's so much more. You're not just buying caffeine or, a quick moment of enjoyment. You are effectively spending a future down payment on a house.
Or a year off work.
Or a year off work. Maybe pursuing something you're passionate about. Or setting yourself up for a significantly earlier retirement. This isn't just abstract math. This is compounding quietly working for you, or, if you're spending it, working against your future self while you sleep, while you're watching Netflix, while you're scrolling social media.
It's relentless.
It's relentless. And that fundamental truth about money, it feels almost unbelievable because it happens so subtly.
Yeah, and this really highlights that stark difference between consumption and investment, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, that $5 latte, it's consumed.
Yeah.
Its value is immediate, sure, but it's fleeting. It's gone the second you finish it.
Right.
But the invested $5, it's like planting a seed. Once you plant it, it doesn't just sit there. It germinates, it grows, it branches out, and eventually it bears fruit over decades. And each fruit has more seeds inside.
Ah, so it multiplies itself.
Exactly, and it's proof that this financial superpower, it doesn't need your constant attention once you set it up right.
You don't have to babysit it.
Not at all. It's this underlying force, just working away on your behalf, building wealth while you're busy living your life, working your job, spending time with family.
Like a silent alchemist.
That's a good way to put it. A silent alchemist, turning those small, consistent contributions into a serious fortune in the background. It's steady, unwavering, and frankly, incredibly powerful, because it requires so little active management once you start.
Which is why it feels so unbelievable, maybe. It seems to defy the amount of effort you put in later on. It rewards the initial action and patience.
Absolutely. The paradox is, often the less you fiddle with it, the more powerfully it works. Just let it run. 3. The time paradox. Why starting early crushes lengthy efforts.
Okay, now this next part. This is where the numbers get truly mind-boggling. Like, it almost challenges your sense of fairness, your intuition about effort equals reward.
This is often the most surprising part for people.
Because you'd think, logically, investing for a longer period, say 30 or 40 years, consistently putting money in, that has to result in more money than investing for just 10 years.
Seems obvious, doesn't it? More time, more contributions should equal more money.
Well, get ready for a plot twist. Because with compounding, there's this almost unfair advantage, a secret weapon that makes a disproportionately massive difference. And it's not just about how much you invest.
It's about when.
Exactly. Compounding has 2 critical allies, right? 2 essential partners we talked about. Time and reinvestment. If you shortchange either one, the magic just fizzles out.
Yeah, you break the chain.
You can put in tons of money, but if you don't give it enough time to cook, or if you keep pulling out the earnings instead of letting them compound, you basically cripple its power. You cut off that recursive engine we mentioned.
And this really highlights the nonlinear power of time here. It's not just that more time is better, it's that early time is exponentially more valuable.
Exponentially more valuable. Say more about that.
Because of how compounding works, those first few years, even when the growth seems painfully slow, almost invisible, Those are actually the most crucial years.
Why? Because
Yeah.
they build the base.
Precisely. You're building the foundation upon which all that future explosive growth will happen. It's like building a skyscraper. Those first few layers of concrete and steel don't look like much, but they're absolutely essential to support the massive weight of the floors above.
Without the foundation, the tower can't stand.
Exactly. Without those early, seemingly small gains getting time to grow, the eventual outcome just won't be as impressive. And this is where our psychology trips us up, isn't it? We're wired for instant results, for linear progress.
Yeah, we want to see progress now.
So it's hard to really appreciate the immense power packed into those quiet, early years of investing.
Okay, so to really hammer this home, let's use that classic illustration, the story of Sarah and Jake.
Ah, yes, Sarah and Jake. A perfect, if slightly painful example.
Right, because this totally flips our intuition upside down. It shows the staggering power of starting early. So imagine Sarah. She's young, diligent, maybe starts her first job. She begins investing just $200 a month at age 20.
Okay, $200 a month, age 20.
Very consistent. But here's the kicker, the really wild part. She stops investing at age 30.
Stops completely.
Completely stops adding new money. She only invests for a total of 10 years. Over that decade, she puts in a grand total of $24,000 of her own money. Then she just lets it sit there and grow.
Okay, so 10 years of contributions, then hands off.
Now let's look at Jake. Jake starts investing the exact same amount, $200 a month, but he waits. He doesn't start until he's 30, the age Sarah stopped.
All right, so Jake starts later.
And Jake is super diligent too. He invests that $200 a month until he's 60, right up to a standard retirement age. So Jake invests consistently for a full 30 years.
30 years compared to Sarah's 10.
And over those 30 years, Jake contributes a total of $72,000 of his own money. That's 3 times more money than Sarah put in.
Okay, so summary. Sarah invests for 10 years, puts in $24K.
Yeah.
Jake invests for 30 years, puts in $72K. Logically, Jake should crush Sarah by retirement, right?
You would absolutely think so. 3 times the investment period, 3 times the capital contributed. It seems like a no-brainer. Jake must end up with way more.
But
here's the truly shocking outcome. This is the part that feels unbelievable. When they both hit retirement age, let's say 60, assuming that same conservative 8% annual return, Sarah, despite investing for only 1/3 of the time Jake did and contributing only 1/3 of the capital, Sarah actually ends up with hundreds of thousands of dollars more than Jake.
Wow. Hundreds of thousands more, even though she stopped 30 years earlier.
Yes, it feels like you're fighting math itself. Sarah didn't need to invest more. She didn't need to work harder at it later. She let time and compounding do the heavy lifting for her during those crucial early years.
That initial $24,000 she put in had an extra 10 years from age 20 to 30, plus another 30 years after she stopped.
Yeah.
Just compounding away before Jake even started putting his first dollar in at age 30. That head start was enormous.
It's absolutely mind-bending. Jake spent decades playing catch-up, pouring in more of his own money for way longer, but Sarah's early start gave her this exponential lead. A lead that his extra effort just couldn't overcome.
It's not just a story, it's a mathematical certainty under those assumptions.
It's a powerful, almost unsettling proof that your single greatest ally in harnessing the superpower is time. Starting early lets you put in less effort, less capital for a potentially much larger result.
It's like getting a massive discount on your future wealth just for starting sooner.
It feels like an unfair advantage, like a loophole in how effort should work. But it's available to literally everyone. You just have to act early. It completely changes how you think about effort in building wealth, doesn't it?
It shifts the focus from brute force, just saving more later, to intelligent timing. Early positioning is key. 4. Unleashing the beast. How to harness this power.
Okay, so we know what this thing is. We know it's incredibly powerful, almost unbelievably so, defying our normal expectations. So the big question, the really practical one is, how do we actually unleash this beast? How do we make it work for us, for your financial future, based on the actionable stuff?
Right, the how-tos. And the wonderful part, the almost liberating part, is that it primarily demands consistency, not genius.
Consistency, not brilliance. I like that. You don't need to be a Wall Street wizard.
Not at all. What's really cool about compounding is that it's completely impartial. It works for any amount. Doesn't matter if it's the $5 from the latte example turned into an investment, or if it's a $5,000 lump sum.
Size doesn't matter as much as just doing it.
Exactly. It doesn't discriminate based on your starting capital or even how much you add regularly. The one critical factor it rewards above everything else, as all the best practices emphasize, is just unwavering consistency.
So you don't need to be a stock-picking genius. No secret insider tips.
Nope, none of that. You don't need some innate financial brilliance to pick the next Apple or Google. You just need to consistently contribute even small amounts and then, crucially, let time do its thing. Patiently, diligently.
Okay, but if it's that simple fundamentally, why aren't more people doing it? What's the big mistake people make?
Well, a huge one. And honestly, it's kind of tragic because it's such a massive waste of potential, is letting money just sit there, letting it languish in, say, a standard bank savings account, earning next to nothing, maybe 0.5% interest, or even less these days.
Right, where it's basically losing value to inflation.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like putting a Ferrari engine onto a kid's skateboard. You have access to this incredible power, this engine for exponential growth, and you're letting it just idle completely unused, while inflation silently eats away its real value. You're effectively losing money over time, not making it.
It's like having a superpower, but only using it to, I don't know, open automatic doors.
Pretty much. So the recommendation becomes really straightforward, really actionable, and potentially life-changing. Use simple, accessible tools to get compounding working for you.
And we're not talking about anything complicated here.
No, we're talking about things that might even seem boring, but they're effective because they're boring. They don't require constant tinkering or deep expertise. Things like broad market index funds.
Just tracking the whole market, like the S&P 500.
Exactly. Instant diversification, low cost, or even simpler for many people, take advantage of employer-sponsored retirement plans, like a 401k or similar plans elsewhere, especially if there's an employer match. Often a 50% or 100% return on your contribution instantly, before any investment growth. It's an immediate compounding boost. Or setting up your own IRA Roth or traditional for tax advantages.
So the main thing is just getting the money into an account where it can actually grow, where those tiny gains can start stacking up and earning their own gains.
That's step one. Get it into the game. Then, make sure you're reinvesting any dividends or interest earned. Don't take them out as cash. Let them become part of the snowball.
Keep feeding the beast.
Exactly. And just as important, resist the urge to constantly mess with it. Don't try to time the market. Don't panic sell when things dip. Just let it sit, let it grow, let compounding do its relentless work over decades.
So patience is key. Don't panic.
Patience and discipline are probably more important than initial capital or investment genius. The biggest enemy for most people isn't picking the wrong fund. It's their own behavior, getting scared and pulling out at the worst possible time, often just before the biggest gains.
Okay, so be consistent. Use simple tools like index funds or retirement plans, reinvest dividends, and be patient. Don't panic.
That's the core strategy. Now, there's a handy little tool, a mental shortcut, that can really help you visualize just how powerful this doubling effect is over time. Makes it feel less abstract.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It's called the Rule of 72. It's a really simple way to estimate how quickly your money, or really any asset growing at a steady rate, can double in value. Super simple. You just divide the number 72 by your annual rate of return, expressed as a percentage. The answer you get is a pretty good estimate of the number of years it will take for your money to double.
Almost too easy.
It feels that way, but it's just math.
So let's use our 8% example again.
Okay, 8%. So you take 72 divided by 8. What do you get?
9.
9 years. So at an 8% average annual return, your money is estimated to double about every 9 years.
Every 9 years. Okay, now think about that for a second. If you start with, say, $1,000 today.
In 9 years, it becomes $2,000. Then that $2,000 doubles.
Right. So in another 9 years, that's 18 years total, your initial $1,000 is now $4,000.
And then the $4,000.
To $8,000 in 27 years.
Yep.
And it just keeps going. Each doubling happens on a bigger base amount.
$16,000 in 36 years, $32,000 in 45 years, starting from just $1,000. It's not just adding, it's multiplying.
Okay.
Relentlessly, exponentially, quietly working a way to grow your wealth. It really is like a money cloning machine, just churning out more of itself as long as you fuel the return in time.
That's amazing.
The power is understanding that even modest, realistic returns, like 7 or 8 or 9%, when given enough time, become incredibly significant because of that doubling effect.
Okay, we've talked about the incredible, almost unbelievable upside of embracing compounding, making it work for you. Let's confront the equally shocking, maybe even more visceral cost of ignoring it.
The opportunity cost, this is where it can feel like a gut punch.
Yeah, exactly. This is where we look at the true, often hidden cost of some of those small, everyday expenses. This forces a kind of uncomfortable honesty, doesn't it, about where our money really goes.
It does. And again, the point isn't to make people feel guilty about spending money. It's about awareness. Understanding the hidden financial force that's always at play, whether you acknowledge it or not.
So let's use a really direct example, something many people can relate to. Let's say you spend $500 on a weekend getaway every single year.
Okay, $500 a year. Sounds reasonable. Nice break. Creates memories. Seems like a small indulgence, maybe a well-deserved treat.
Totally. But let's do the compounding math again. What if that same $500, instead of being spent on that weekend trip each year, was invested annually, $500 earning that same conservative 8% return for 40 years?
Right, $500 a year, 8%, 40 years. What does it become?
It quietly accumulates to approximately $125,000.
Wow, 125 grand from redirecting one modest weekend trip per year.
Yeah, that's one small annual choice compounded over decades, turning into a serious six-figure sum. And let's think bigger for a second. What about someone who consistently doesn't max out their 401k match from their employer?
Oh, that's leaving free money on the table. Huge opportunity cost.
It's literally free money. Often an immediate 50% or 100% kickstart on your savings. Ignoring that match isn't just losing out on a few $1,000s today. Over a career, with compounding, that's easily hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions in forfeited growth.
It's a shocking, often completely overlooked form of self-sabotage, financially speaking.
So what does this mean for your choices? It means you kind of have to ask yourself, brutally honestly, is that annual trip, that fleeting experience, really worth it when you weigh it against a future six-figure pile of money that could totally change your life?
It forces a different kind of calculation.
It's not about shaming enjoyment. It's about this shocking revelation of what you're actually trading away, often without even realizing it. It makes you confront the true cost, immediate gratification versus, profound life-altering financial freedom down the road.
It definitely shifts the question from can I afford this now to what else could this money become if I let it work for me?
That's a powerful shift. And connecting this out further, it's important to remember, like you said, compounding isn't just about stocks and retirement accounts, right?
Absolutely not. The principle applies to any asset that appreciates or depreciates over time. Think about that classic real estate example you shared. Maybe your grandparents bought a house 50 years ago for, say, $20,000.
Yeah, sounds about right for back then in many places.
Today, that same modest house, maybe with zero major renovations, could easily be worth $600,000, maybe more, just from market appreciation over decades.
Without them really doing anything active.
Exactly. That's compounding in real estate.
Right.
The value of the property went up, and then that increased value continued to appreciate. Value stacking on value.
And it works the other way too, right? With debt.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where it gets dangerous. Think about high-interest credit card debt. That 20% or 25% annual interest rate, that's compounding working fiercely against you.
Turning a small debt into a huge one, fast.
It can turn a manageable balance into an overwhelming mountain of debt if you don't tackle it aggressively. The principle is completely neutral. It just amplifies whatever trend is in place, positive or negative.
So it's value stacking on value, for better or for worse. Whether it's real estate or maybe growing business or even intellectual property or just those boring index funds quietly tracking the market. The core idea is the same.
The gains from the last period become part of the base for the next period's gains. Creates that exponential curve.
It's just quietly building or destroying wealth in the background, making your assets work harder for you or your debts work harder against you without you needing to constantly intervene.
And understanding that broad application really drives home that this isn't just an investing trick. It's about understanding how some of the world's most fundamental systems of growth and decay actually operate.
So, after all this, what does it really mean for you listening right now? It means this so-called wonder of the world, this almost unbelievable financial superpower. Well, it doesn't need a passport. You don't need a tourist guide. It just needs you to stop ignoring it.
That's the core message, really. Awareness in action.
The biggest, most profound lesson from this deep dive, pulling from all the insights you shared, is that time. Time is, without a doubt, your most valuable asset in this whole game.
More valuable than anything else.
More valuable than picking the perfect stock, more valuable than trying to time the market swings, more valuable than pretty much anything else you can think of.
Which leads to the ultimate practical question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Given how powerful time is, especially early time, when is the absolute best moment to start?
And the answer is always the same, isn't it? That age-old wisdom, it holds true, and it's in every piece of sound financial advice out there. The best day to start harnessing this power, it was yesterday.
Always yesterday.
But the second best day, and the only one that actually matters for you right now, It's today.
Absolutely. Today is the day you can take action.
Even small amounts. We saw the power of just $5 a day. Small amounts, consistently and wisely invested, will do far more for your financial future than chasing the best stock tips, trying complex trading strategies, or falling for any get-rich-quick schemes.
Because those schemes are usually trying to fight math or promise unrealistic shortcuts. Compounding is the math. It works with the fundamental force of growth.
Right. What feels like a cheat code isn't some secret trick. It's just embracing a basic mathematical truth that, for whatever reason, most people just overlook or underestimate.
It's hiding in plain sight.
This isn't about becoming a millionaire tomorrow. It's about taking concrete, simple steps, often really unglamorous steps, but steps that, over time, lead to those unbelievable, often genuinely shocking results.
Like what? What are those first steps?
Open that retirement account if you haven't. A 401k, an IRA, whatever's available to you. Automate your contributions. Even if it's just a small amount to start, $20 a month, $50 a month, get it started.
Make it automatic. Remove the friction.
Exactly. Make it a habit you don't have to think about. And then let compound interest do what it does best. Let it quietly, relentlessly build your future while you get on with living your life.
Don't fight it. Don't ignore it.
Use it. Invest today. Seriously, your future self isn't just going to thank you, they're begging you. And that's it for today's video. If you got any value at all, do us a quick favor, smash that like button, subscribe to Orange Capital, and share your thoughts. In the comments below, we read every single one. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you in the next one.